Sorry about that shaking. It does stop here in a second. Hello, and welcome to my very first painting time lapse. I'm going to be attempting to paint some clouds today, and I'm rather excited to try it. I love to paint. I actually just got this oil set. My sister was so kind as to get me this oil set about a month ago. And I have yet to attempt painting clouds with it, so we'll see how this goes. I'm really happy about trying to paint clouds though. There's something so cathartic about getting to sit down and just enjoy the feel of paints on a canvas for a while. And in these crazy times, we all need a little bit of catharsis, so I don't really care too much if this painting turns out to be perfect or a complete disaster. It's more about the process than it is the final product for me, at least this time around. As you can see, I've got white, black, a couple of different greens, and a blue color. I'm trying to use a bunch of different brush techniques and brush sizes because, to be honest, clouds are really hard, and I thought maybe oil paints would be a different story, but we'll see. I'm just kind of, as you can see, filling in the basic shapes and then adding detail as I go. I don't know about any of you guys, but I was one of those kids who took some art classes over the summer, and they were by far my favorite classes. My parents would send me and my siblings, as well as my cousins, to summer camp, and oh, I just hit my camera, sorry about that. Most of the time, these classes would involve basically just soccer, but there was a year or two here where they actually sent us to art class, and by golly, I was a tiny tyke, right? I was probably 4 or 5 years old. But my goodness, I loved the art classes so much. I remember we were painting a pineapple at one point, and all of the kids, most of them were older than me, but they were really impressed by my pineapple skills. So that was really encouraging. I think honestly that experience was something that encouraged me to draw more and really sparked something inside of me. You know, I'm very much a people pleaser, and so actually successfully catching someone's attention, multiple people's attention, and being told that, hey, you're good at this, I was like, well, maybe I'm good at this. I should continue to do this then. And so I did. And years later, it is still my favorite pastime to sit down on my floor and grab a pencil or some paints and see what I can make of a blank canvas. It is so enjoyable to just be able to paint something. If you've ever worked with oil paints, the consistency of the paint is just incredibly pleasant. It is such a fantastic medium in my opinion. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, this is my first set of oil paints, but my goodness, like I have painted more in the last month than I've probably painted my whole life, just because the feel of oil paints is incredibly pleasant. I'm a little bit addicted to it, I think, but as addictions go, I do think that oil paints is an okay one to have. Could be worse. Could be worse. I'm sorry that my camera keeps shaking here and there. You can tell when I accidentally hit it because then it'll shake for a while. I've kind of got this whole contraption going on with my camera. It is hanging from the ceiling above via some twine. I've got it in a sort of hammock contraption hanging from the ceiling because I couldn't figure out how to position it in order to make this time lapse. I don't have a desk that's really big enough for me to paint on, so I'm just sitting on the floor. I thought that was fitting though, just because I'm sitting exactly where I usually sit when I paint and when I draw. The edges on my painting got here a little bit rough, so I was trying to soften them a little bit, and that's why I dragged my brush across the canvas a few times here. It really kind of felt to me like your eye was drawn in pretty much every direction. And I wanted to kind of draw your eye to certain areas in the painting, and by softening certain areas, you can kind of bring them out of focus. So those sharp edges, they're a little bit demanding on the eye, and I didn't want the whole painting to be demanding on the eye. I wanted it to be something that was kind of easy to look at, even though it is very much an abstract painting, and probably you would look at it for a minute or two to figure out what you're seeing. I did want it to be something that wasn't taxing when you did look at it. In this painting process, since I did start out with basically just shapes, there is a lot of refining to do. Also, at some point, it is a lot of fun to just kind of veer away from the reference picture, from the inspiration that you have, and just do with the painting what you feel looks good, what you feel looks natural. As you can see here, I start to kind of veer from the reference material a little bit because I felt that the little blob of darkness in the middle was a little demanding on the eyes. A lot of the times what you want to do with clouds, and granted, this is very abstract, but you want to basically decide how the wind is blowing. What direction is it moving the clouds? As you can see in this painting, the wind very much is blowing from left to right or right to left, from the upper left corner to the lower right corner. And so I veer off away from the reference material a little bit here in order to make the painting flow a little bit better, because that way you can see the direction of the wind flow to a greater extent. And it's a little bit easier on the eyes, a little bit easier to understand visually, and a little bit more pleasing. I hope that you have enjoyed the process with me. I certainly have enjoyed it. The speed on this painting is actually times 12, so it's just under 2 hours is the time that I spent working on this painting, but it truly is such an enjoyable thing to be able to sit down and watch it come to life on the canvas. Until next time, thank you so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video at all, please like it. If you'd like to see more time lapses from me in the future, as I fully intend to make some more, perhaps less abstract time lapses, please subscribe to my channel. I post here every Thursday, so hopefully I'll see you then. Bye.